Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the natural methods of vegetative propagation. Today, we will take up the artificial or horticultural methods of vegetative propagation. But before taking this, let me tell you about an interesting point which is mostly asked in the examination. You may have heard about terror of Bengal. Terror of Bengal. What is this terror of Bengal? This is nothing but it is because of an aquatic plant called water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is an aquatic plant which is one of the most invasive weeds found growing wherever there is standing water. And it is water hyacinth. It is an aquatic plant which is the most invasive weed found growing wherever there is standing water. It draws oxygen from the water, and this water hyacinth, it draws oxygen from the water, which leads to the death of fish, and it drains most of the oxygen from the water, which leads to the death of the fishes. And one more interesting point about this water hyacinth is that it was introduced in India. This water hyacinth, it was introduced in India because of two features. That is, because of first its beautiful flowers and shape of leaves. Sometimes question is asked, why was this water hyacinth was introduced in India, because of which interesting features? It is because of its beautiful flowers and shape of the leaves. This water hyacinth was introduced in India since it can propagate vegetatively at a very tremendous rate, at a very phenomenal rate, and spread all over the water, all over the water body, and it grows at a tremendous rate, at a very fast rate, with the result it spreads all over the water body in a very short period of time, and it is then very difficult to get rid of from this water hyacinth. It is a weed, and this causes the terror of Bengal, what we call as terror of Bengal. And terror of Bengal is because of the presence of this aquatic plant, that is water hyacinth, which is the most invasive weed and mostly grows wherever there is standing water, and it draws oxygen from the water, which leads to the death of the fish. This was introduced in India because of its two important features, that is beautiful flowers and shape of the leaves. Since it grows, it can propagate vegetatively at a very high rate, quick rate, and spread all over the body in a very short period of time, and then it is very difficult to get of this water hyacinth. This is all about hot water hyacinth. Then we will take up the today's topic, that is artificial method of vegetative propagation. We have seen that in natural method of vegetative propagation, any part of the plant, any vegetative part of the plant, that is root, stem, leaf, or a bud, if it gets detached from the parent plant body and if it gets suitable conditions, it develops into a new plant. Now, some methods of this vegetative propagation, they have been developed by plant growers, or what we call as horticulturists. They have been developed artificially by plant growers and horticulturists to produce new plants. Now, some of the, that is why we call them as horticultural methods. They were developed by horticulturists. Artificial methods, they were developed artificially, or man-made methods. Some of the important artificial methods of vegetative propagation are as under: number first, use of specialized structures. Number second is cutting. Number third is grafting, and number fourth is layering. And we also take a fifth type, that is called as micropropagation. Micropropagation is also included in this artificial method of vegetative propagation, or horticultural method of vegetative propagation. Now we will take these one by one. Use of specialized structures for vegetative propagation. Many plants are multiplied vegetatively by using specialized structures. For example, rhizomes. Okay, these are special types of these stems, rhizomes. In case of ginger, we use rhizomes. We produce new plants from specialized stems, that is rhizome. Similarly, another this specialized structure, that is tuber. Example is potato. In potato, we use a specialized stem or specialized structure, specialized modification of system, that is called tuber, for producing new plants. Third is that is corms. Example is crocus stivus. In this we use a special modification of the stem, that is called corm. Similarly, another this specialized organ, that is bulb. This we use in case of onion. We use bulbs for producing new plants. Another is, that is fifth, that is sucker. In case of mint, we use a specialized modification of the stem, that is called a sucker. That call a specialized vegetative organ for developing new plants artificially. And we use artificially parts of these rhizomes, that is ginger, parts of potatoes, that we call as tuber, parts of this corms, that we call as parts of crocus, that we call as corms, bulbs in case of onions, sucker, that example is mint. Now we will take up the second, that is cutting. Cutting is actually a piece of the plant organ which is used for propagation. That is also called, this piece is called cutting. And this cutting, the process of vegetative propagation, in which a vegetative part of a plant is taken and rooted in the soil, rooted in the soil to form a new plant. This process is also called as cutting. The piece of the plant organ which is used for propagation, that is also called a cutting. And the process or the type of vegetative cropping in which a vegetative part of a plant is taken and rooted in the soil to produce a new plant, to form a new plant, this process is also called cutting. Generally, stem cuttings are commonly used for this purpose. Stem cuttings are commonly used for this purpose, that is for the purpose of this cutting. But some of the plants propagated by cuttings are, and some of the examples of plants propagated through cuttings are sugarcane, grapes, poplar, willow, rose, etc. These are the plants which are propagated through cutting. In some plants, roots are not easily produced on the stem cuttings. So in order to produce roots from these cuttings, they are treated with auxins. They are treated with auxins like IAA, IBE and NAA. And sometimes some stem cuttings, the cuttings of the stems, they are not able to produce roots. So before rooting them into the soil, before inserting them into the soil, we spray the lower part of this cutting by special types of auxins like IA, indole acetic acid, IBA, indole butyric acid, naphthalene acetic acid, NAA, and then plant it into the soil. This helps it to produce adventitious roots. So we can produce new plants from the stem cuttings, from the part of the plant. From the part of the plant, we can produce a whole plant. We can produce a new individual plant by this process that is called cutting. In addition, these mostly stem cuttings are used in some plants. Root cuttings, even leaf cuttings are also used for this process of producing new plants. This is the second part of this vegetative propagation, second method of this artificial or horticulture method of vegetative propagation. Other types we will discuss in another video. This is all for today. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.